Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown. Today, my regular co-hosts, Mark Hanf and Nam Phan, are not here today, but we do have a couple of special guests. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate given away during this show. And that certificate is not sponsored by the radio station, but by Tan Bella Tanning Salon with 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. Today's trivia theme is miscellaneous trivia. And I'm going to introduce our special guests right now, Bill Aubrey and Tammy Blanchard of Pacific Mortgage Capital, discussing non-QM loans and other types of mortgages. Let's put it that way. So if I can just start off, first of all, welcome guys to the Best of Investing. Glad you can make it.
Well, good afternoon, Edward.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Okay, so first of all, let's start about who you guys are. Who and what is Pacific Mortgage Capital?
Well, Pacific Mortgage Capital is
Okay, yeah, get right on that microphone.
Pacific Mortgage Capital is a boutique, unique mortgage lender that specializes in non-agency, non-conforming lending and real estate financing. We're separate and distinct in that we don't think as a traditional bank such as a Wells Fargo or Chase. All our documentation is alternative documentation, so I don't have to rely on 400 pages of tax returns. Most of our programs are cash flow based. We've been in business for a number of years, and we're affiliated with our partner company, Pacific Private, with Market Now, which everyone knows very well.
Yes, exactly. So go ahead, Pat. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're basically their non-qualified mortgage arm for Pacific Private Money. Okay. And so we're a really nice complement to each other.
Yeah, because they do more. I know that the term hard money is not really used that much anymore. You know, private money. So you guys seems like you're kind of in between. You know, the Wells Fargo, which is just a regular old mortgage, and quote hard money. So what do people do? What's the normal procedure? Somebody normally go, let's say, to a Wells Fargo and they're turned down, and how do they find you?
Go ahead, Tammy.
That's really a really good question. And sometimes it's becoming popular on the street. So some people actually find us before they ever get turned down. They know they're self-employed. They know that they are not going to be able to show tax returns that are going to qualify them for a $2 or $3 million home, or even a 600, whatever their statute is. And so they'll come to us and say, I actually have a huge cash flow and I know I can afford this house. What can I do? And that's where we come into play. We'll be able to use their actual cash flow to qualify them for a loan.
That's right.
So that program is specifically targeted to self-employed borrowers. Sophisticated self-employed borrowers that usually have very complicated tax returns, and they have lots and lots of write-offs, and it doesn't really show a true picture of the business.
Okay. And is speed a factor also?
Yes.
Okay.
We've had clients that have come to us and said, our bank has been sitting on this loan for 3 months, telling us, your loan's approved, we'll be able to close it for you next week, and 3 months go by, and the escrow is just going up in arms. Our general turnaround time is around 15 upwards to 30 days. I don't think we've done anything less than 30 days. Average time is about 15. It's all in-house underwriting. There's nothing outsourced. And the decision makers, basically you're talking to the decision makers right here.
Gotcha. So it's interesting because I can relate to that because my tax return's complicated, being self-employed, et cetera, et cetera. And fortunately, speed was not a factor except for the fact that I was paying a higher interest rate than I needed to be because I wasn't buying a house. I was just refinancing. So I went with a large company, not a typical bank, but a large company. And I started in January of 2021, and my loan didn't come through until April 30th. And I know exactly what the banks need. I gave them everything from day one, and the appraisal was done in early February. They actually get able to get an appraisal fairly quickly. And it was still like, guys, what's going on? You know, I mean, again, I was kind of fortunate and I got a really good rate, but what would have happened if I needed the money a lot faster than you know, like either to make a purchase or something? Yeah.
Well, then we would have been talking to Pacific Private money.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I know it's kind of surprising. Tell you what, we're gonna. I know the show goes very, very quickly. We're gonna get into some more questions, but we're gonna go to our first commercial break here. Before we do, I want to make a mention here for the Tahoe Lakeshore Lodge and Spa, which provides guests with an all lakefront hotel in South Lake Tahoe, where every lodge room and condominium has a view of the lake and the mountains. Guests can relax or play on over 500 feet of private beach. Check them out at www.tahoelakeshorelodge.com. You can also reach them at 800-448-4577. It's a beautiful place. And by the way, one of our winners last time took the trip, came back, and just had to rave about it to us. I thought that's pretty cool. I got to let them know that. So they were very, very happy. All right, we're going to cut to our first commercial break here. And the winner of the first caller with the correct answer to this question is going to win the tanning certificate, which, by the way, is worth over $100. Okay, first trivia question. And again, Bill and Tammy, if you know the answer, don't say anything yet. We'll let you answer when you come back. All right. Which president said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself"? So that's our trivia question. Call 888-912-1190. The first caller with the correct answer is going to win that tanning certificate. Again, which president said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself"? All right, stay with us. You are listening to The Best of Investing. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guests, Bill Aubrey and Tammy Blanchard of Pacific Mortgage Capital. First trivia question. Which president said the only thing we have to fear is fear itself? Bill, you know the answer to that?
Franklin Roosevelt.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Yeah, after entering World War II. Okay, so you guys specialize in, would you call it alternative financing?
Yes.
Okay, maybe non-QM seems to be the the magic term.
Yeah.
What is the definition of non-QM? That term gets kind of thrown around a lot.
Well, let me define a qualified mortgage for you. Qualified mortgage is one where done through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, aka the agencies,
okay,
and FHA to some extent, and they require certain ATR requirements. And ATR is the ability to repay.
Yeah.
And it has to be documented through your W-2s, through your pay stubs, through your verification of employments, and all your tax returns. Right?
Okay.
For a number of, for the professional, sophisticated, self-employed borrowers that we cater to, and we specialize in, pay stubs, W-2s, and tax returns sometimes don't work. And so we look at the real, true income picture, and that's your cash flow. It doesn't really matter what you put on your tax returns, right? It's actually how much money you put in your bank and how much cash you bring home.
Yeah.
Right? You take your tax returns, you write off your house, you write off your business, you write off your employee lunches, you write off your car. You take your $400,000 and you bring it down to $100,000. That's your taxable income.
Yeah.
You know, we're blessed to be able to do that. That being said, that's not the real picture of your income.
Well, let me ask you about that, because let's say with let's say Wells Fargo for a minute, and I'm just picking them because they're a big bank, everybody knows. If you show them a W-2 that shows 400,000, do they look at the 400,000, or do they subtract out taxes, all the withholding and all that for a net payment?
They'll look at the $400,000. However, if you're self-employed and you pay yourself a wage, right, like which a lot of self-employed people do, they're still going to go through all your corporate returns and see what the real cash flow is there.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense. I mean, because the W-2
you're right, it doesn't. You're right, it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense.
I want to make sure I understood that, though.
That's why we're here, and that's why they call it non-qualified, because it doesn't follow the Fannie and Freddie guidelines and their automated underwriting.
Yeah,
So
that
for
makes sense.
non-qualified, I like alternative.
Yeah.
We've used other terms. We call it common sense underwriting because it really makes sense to understand what your borrowers can can do with them.
So you two are actually the underwriters as well as no, you're not the underwriters. Okay, you're what would you consider yourself? The loan agents?
The loan committee.
Loan committee.
Yeah, basically that's it. We have professional underwriters on board.
Okay.
That have well over 30 years of experience individually in underwriting both qualified and non-qualified mortgages. And they put the transaction together, and they're been trained to look for a way to make a loan.
Okay.
Not to say no. We don't like that word in our vocabulary.
You figure out a way to make it work. So,
and then what would happen? If there's any questions, then they would bring it to us for our basically for our opinion and our thought.
We do a round table and we all tear the loan apart and break it down and go, well, how can we put this together so that it's a good investment for
our investors,
and it's a good deal for the borrowers, and it makes sense for us. So we really try to, we call it the can-do.
I like that. What kind of rate? So if I'm self-employed, and you probably maybe have some kind of ratios, but again, the common sense, what would I be looking at? A 15-year fully amortized and a 30-year fully amortized. I know, there's the jumbo numbers and all. What are we looking at today right now?
Our rates, they vary, but they start in the 3s.
That's just like the typical bank, isn't it?
It's just we're not that much different than a typical bank.
Okay.
It's called risk-based pricing. So really what happens is if I have a borrower who owns a $3 million property and they only owe $1 million on it and they have an 800 credit score and everything is perfect about that loan, they're going to do almost as well with us as they will with, say, Wells Fargo, for instance, or one of the bigger institutions. And if that person, let's just say they owe a lot more money on their cash flow isn't as good and their DTA is higher and they have some credit issues, or we're still going to do the loan. We're not going to say no, but it's going to cost more.
Okay. If you have a borrower who's they have a $600,000 mortgage, a house is worth $2 million. They have a 740 credit score and a 43% or 33% DTI. Their rate's going to be in the 3s. If you have a borrower who has a 580 credit score and the $600,000 loan is secured by a house that's worth $800,000, the rate's going to be higher. It's not going to be, it won't be in the 8s or anything like that. It'd probably be in the high 4s.
So it's not like golf where you want to get the lowest score. It's the opposite. Okay, I just want to make sure I understood. Like I was teasing one time. When you do a commercial loan, a lot of times they want to see what they call the phase 1, right? And that's the environmental report. And if it's a little challenging, you have to get a phase 2, right? And so I remember teasing this one guy one time. I said, phase 2. I said, I got a phase 3 on mine, which actually does not exist, but he thought he enjoyed the levity. Tell you what, believe it or not, we got to cut to another commercial break here. So here is our next trivia question. Again, it's just miscellaneous trivia is the theme. What famous athlete starred in the film The Dirty Dozen? You have to go back to 1967 for this. One of my favorite movies. All right. And the first caller with the correct answer is going to win the tanning certificate. Call 1-888-912-1190 to answer this question. What famous athlete starred in the film The Dirty Dozen? All right. You are listening to The Best of Investing. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, along with my special guests, Bill Aubrey and Tammy Blanchard. Trivia question number 2. What famous athlete starred in the film The Dirty Dozen? Bill, I think you know this one too.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown, that's true. In fact, he ended up, as I understand it, he had asked Paul Brown I think it was Paul Brown.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, I want to star in this film," and they said, "No, you can't do that kind of thing and also play football." So he retired from football. I mean, by then he was already going to be a Hall of Famer. Let's see here. Want to make a quick mention also to getting into the Christmas spirit with your favorite holiday tunes set to new, exciting choreography. Celebrate the holidays with the Christmas Ballet, an annual show by the Smuin Contemporary Ballet that tours the San Francisco Bay Area. Check them out at smuinballet.org. All right. So we are in the studio here with Tammy Blanchard and Bill Aubrey. And you guys have a relationship with Pacific Private Money. How do you guys work together?
Well, we're partners with them in a number of transactions. And Pacific, they are the niche, the best bridge lender in the United States by far. And what they will do a quick down and dirty bridge loan to secure so a buyer can get into a new home. We will be the takeout lender. So basically what you do, you qualify for a loan for Pacific Private, and they'll take 7 to 10 days to put it together. And at the same time, you'll have approved takeout lender with us. I'll let Tammy, you fill in.
Well, actually, that's actually how the relationship between Pacific Private Money started with Bill and I, is that we were doing this non-QM mortgages, and I presented the idea to them that I would actually look at every loan they were thinking about doing and make sure that I would qualify them before they even funded the loan, to make sure that they had an exit strategy for these things. And that relationship developed over time where we were trading loans back and forth. And so we decided it was really a good practice for us to be in business together because there was so much going between the two of us.
Okay.
Just excellent symmetry. Excellent symmetry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I say, so it's not competition at all. It's really one feeding the other.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And with the borrower being the winner of both, because he gets 2 loans at basically for 1 underwrite.
Yeah, that's true. Do they have to pay additional points and interest? I mean, obviously the interest rate will change, but
we do most of our loans are point free.
oh.
Sometimes if they really want to buy down the interest rate, we'll charge half a point up to a point, I think. But I would say, when you agree, 90% of our loans are free of points.
And then you said you have investors. I mean, there's not a fund specifically. Is it just given out to other banks, or?
Well, right now we portfolio our product, we hold on to it, and then we will sell it to different investors and insurance companies who are interested in our product. But going forward in 2022, one of our goals is to begin to set up a fund to hold some of this product. And I'll let Tammy fill you in on that.
Yeah, well, we've already started the prospectus to put together this fund so that we can take these loans off quicker and offer our clients an opportunity to invest in real estate backed fund.
Great. It's probably too early to talk about because you just put the prospectus together. I guess
Right.
You're right, it is.
Well, if you on another time we can talk about all that fun stuff, but the ins and outs. Yeah, I think it's too early for that.
This was just our cheese to get going.
Okay. So what sets you apart then from other lenders that offer similar programs?
Well, we'll both answer this question. I'll start off. As I said, we are a niche lender, and we're primarily employee owned. And we specialize and focus on California, but in particular the Bay Area. Everything is done central in this office. The turnaround is a couple-day turnaround time. We have access to inexpensive money, so therefore we pass that cost on to the borrower, that lack of cost on to the borrower, so they benefit from it. Unlike a bank, we can do we'll do residential properties, we'll do residential income. I'll let Tammy talk about we're doing residential and commercial properties, mixed use, and for our investors, our experienced investors, we do a good portion of our loans are strictly based on cash flow. Again, no tax returns.
Yeah. Let me interrupt for a second here. It's interesting how I've said this before, if the banks would use a little bit of common sense,
Yeah.
it would make so much more sense, because I look at this and I say, okay, if I'm a big bank and I'm making a loan at 90% loan to value to someone who's got an 800 FICO score, versus I'd much rather have someone have a 650 FICO score and I'm only into the deal for 60% of the loan,
Yep.
because people's FICO scores can change in a heartbeat. They lose their job, they get divorced, they have a medical issue, but the real estate is still there. So, I mean, that's, to me, just kind of bats the eye. Yeah. What kind of LTV will you guys go to?
We do up to 90%
You will do,
and
okay.
95%. That being said, our average and our credit scores go down to 580.
That's
Our
amazing. Okay.
Our average loan to value that we've done in our book of business is about 64%,
Okay.
and our weighted FICO score is north of 725.
Gotcha. So, I mean, it is great from the borrower's perspective to be able to get 90% loan to value. And especially, you got these insurance companies that, have all the money in the world, and they're looking for long-term deals. And so they'll give really, really good rates. So that part totally makes sense. And your typical turn time, I think you said, is what, 15 days?
15 to 30 days.
15 to 30. Okay. So that's still pretty timely, All right. Believe it or not, guess what? You know what? We have one more commercial break to go through here. All right. And for us older folks, we'll remember this one too. Yeah, gosh, all my questions were old, weren't they? FDR and then Jim Brown. Here's another old one. In the song, where was the House of the Rising Sun located? So if you remember the song, remember Eric Burdon and the Animals saying the House of the Rising Sun. And the question is, in that song, where was the House of the Rising Sun located? All right. We want you to call 888-912-1190. The first caller with the correct answer is going to win that tanning certificate, which again is worth over $100. So you'll definitely want to call the 888-912-1190 and be the first caller with the correct answer to this question in the song. Where was the House of the Rising Sun located? All right, stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, along with Tammy Blanchard and Bill Aubrey. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Tammy Blanchard and Bill Aubrey. Both Mark Humph and Nom Fon are off today. Our third trivia question. In the song, where was the House of the Rising Sun located? Where is that, Tammy?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. That's right. You guys are 3 for 3. And usually I give hard questions to Nom, and he goes, he's lucky if he gets like 1 out of 3. Mark usually goes 0 for 3. Just kidding. These guys are great. Okay, so Tammy, you guys are not just locked into just home ownership loans. You have kind of a variety of loans you guys do.
We do, and probably the most recent add to our product lineup is a commercial loan. It's made basically for professional or at least experienced investors, where they can purchase a unit or refinance a property with 2 to 8 units, and that includes mixed use.
Okay.
This program also requires no income documentation for the borrower or guarantor. It can be we can fund it in an LLC or an INC or whatever entity they want. And it has been wildly successful.
Oh yeah. A lot of banks don't do those kind of loans.
Yeah.
Well, they don't. And if you did, you'd have a short-term loan with a balloon payment at the end, or you'd have something that you couldn't afford or would take your cash flow away. And in this case, we're offering 30 and 40-year interest only if you want. And fixed rate.
Right? What kind of prepayment penalties are there on something like that?
Anywhere from 0 to up to 5 years. Generally speaking, they're about 36 months.
That's amazing. What kind of rates are you looking for those types of loans?
They're in the mid to higher 4s.
Okay, that's still pretty good though. That's
it is
really good actually.
Yeah.
Well, it puts people in the market they could really never get into before. Minimum down payment of 25% down, and you can have an apartment building where you know, how do you afford that when you're just an everyday guy or girl?
That's right. We're an equal opportunity lender over here. Yeah.
We are an equal opportunity lender. We are.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You know, since we have a little time, tell the audience an exciting story, a nice success story. And I'm kind of throwing this one at you. Right? We didn't prepare this one ahead of time.
Yeah, we just closed a loan, and actually it's two loans. It started out as a one unit. It was a one unit apartment building that the borrower converted into a condominium. So there are two separate condominiums. So we made him, he had to go get a condo map, and we waited for that. And we did two appraisals. And as soon as he got his APN numbers on both units, we were able to secure him a non-owner occupied investor condominium that was unoccupied for two units, two separate loans. And I think the total time for us to underwrite it and close it was under 15 days.
That's amazing.
The only hiccup on the loan was the time delay was waiting for the county to give his APN number.
Okay, which, I mean, that's out of your hands anyway.
We did everything. We just sat there and waited and twiddled our thumbs, probably waiting for the county of, what's in LA County?
Yes,
yeah, LA County.
I was in Los Angeles, one of the few we did down there. And then another one I'm very proud of is there was a family, two-generation family, who was trying to purchase a 3-unit building in San Francisco in the Richmond district. And it was two 2,000 square foot units, one on the second floor and one on the third floor. And the first floor was an office, a commercial office. Well, the first generation family member, he was an accountant.
Okay.
So he was able to, the two families were able to buy the building, have a place for both families, as well as a new office for the patriarch of the family. And everyone it just worked out really well for everyone involved. And Chase Bank looked at it and worked with them for about 2 months, and they just couldn't put it together.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting too, because a lot of these banks, well, all of them, they have all these weird regulations that they have to follow with the auditors and the reserve requirements. And, you know, if you don't fit right into that box, you'll just, as a borrower, you're just going to end up wasting your time.
Well, they just say no, and then that's where we come into play. I mean,
yeah, but as long as they say no right away, then they're not wasting too much time, you know.
And we say yes to those things. We really sit down and the loan committee goes through and we figure out how to get it done, and in a way is very important. It's a safe investment for our investors. You know,
it's funny you mentioned loan committee, and it just reminds me, many years ago, I was with a big bank on trying to get a HELOC. And again, I knew I could qualify and everything. And I was wondering, well, what is taking so darn long? And this is way before, you know, this is like, 15, 20 years ago. So there was no COVID or any kind of reason that it shouldn't have gone fast, right? And I finally heard back from the banker who said, "Congratulations, Mr. Brown, you just made it to the 11th level of approval."
Wow.
11 levels. I mean, no wonder it's taking so long, you know? I mean, did they have the janitor look at it too, and as well as the president, you know, to make the approval? I mean, you know, and time is money and aggravation. And so, you know, I look at that and I know that there are some people, I bet you get a lot of repeat borrowers just because they don't want to deal with the bureaucracy. Even if it costs them just, you know, a little bit more. You know, because they can work with you know, they have a personal relationship with you guys, you know, speed, and we're not talking about excessive costs.
Really, and that's actually one of the biggest goals for us is for us being an employee-owned company with a can-do attitude, is we really, really focus on building relationships with our clients that last a really long time.
Lifetime relationship is what we're looking for.
Okay. And you know what? I should have done this before, but let me do it now. How do people get a hold of you?
Call or email.
Call or email. Should I flash that up?
The radio, we can't flash it up, so you'll have to just tell us what it is.
All right.
415-938-1117.
Okay, just say it a little bit slower.
415-930-4848.
Oh, I gave you my direct line. I gave
That's
you my
okay.
direct line.
Okay, and then what would be the email address if they need and the
Yeah,
website?
It'll be T Blanchard,
Okay.
Blanchard,
Right.
at pacmortgage.com, capital.com. Pacmortgagecapital.com.
Okay, and the website would be www.
Pacmortgagecapital.com is our website. You can find everything there about us and our contact information.
Okay. All right. We've got about 45 seconds before we have to cut to a break because we don't have another trivia question. Any last words before we go to the next break?
Give us a call. Give us a call.
Yeah. You said, because you said special plans for 2022. That's going to be the coming out with the new
The new fund, fund, as well as exponential growth.
Okay. And I guess what people could do is they could probably send you an email now, and even though you don't have the fund up and running, they can at least stay in contact with you so that when you do have it up and running, you can send it to them. Okay.
Absolutely. They can contact us anytime, and we'll have that probably ready at the end of the first quarter, or maybe the beginning of the second quarter.
Okay. And then they can get a look at the prospectus and the highlights and all that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. Stay with us. The Best of Investing will be right back with some closing comments. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Tammy Blanchard and Bill Aubrey from Pacific Mortgage Capital. All right. Now, Tammy, where do you get your loans from? Because, I mean, we talked about how people find you, but it's not just, people walking in off the street. I mean, you get referrals from brokers, right?
Yes, we actually do. We are a wholesale bank, so we do approve and work with brokers, definitely in the Bay Area, but also with the state of California, I should say. I'm the president of the California Association of Mortgage Professionals.
Oh.
So I have a lot of contact with the industry. I do a lot of the educational things, and a lot of lobbying for the mortgage industry, actually.
Okay.
So that's really our main focus of business. We, of course, will work directly with a borrower, but we like to work with brokers. And do you have anything else you want to say about that?
Our relationship, we've always had a strong broker relationship. We've always had a strong wholesale presence, and we'll continue growing that in 2022 as well.
And Tammy, you said you're the president of, is that CAMP?
Yes, I'm president of CAMP.
Really? I didn't know that, because I've seen a lot of stuff. The audience may not know much about CAMP, but they're really very highly sought after. Let's put it that way. I mean, how many members are there?
We have thousands of members in the state of California. Our membership is one of the larger ones in the Bay Area. We're the San Francisco Peninsula chapter. I've been president for the last 3 years. Actually, it's my last year.
Do you go to Sacramento much and try to lobby?
We do. We go to Sacramento. Well, not last year, obviously, but we lobby in San Francisco and we lobby in DC. The group gets together and we have a bunch of people that read all the legal things that are on the agenda for our local representatives, and then we try to maintain our focus on what's happening for buyers and borrowers. What's going to happen with these new regulations that might affect them negatively, or we sometimes will give them ideas of things that we can do that would be positive for borrowers. And so, lobbying is the number one thing. The second thing that we do is educate mortgage professionals about the regulations that they have to live with every day.
Yeah, because it's kind of scary, all these regulations that seem to pop up from Washington that you look at and you say, they don't realize that they're going to, like, let's say, we're just going to get rid of 1031 exchange because we think we're going to raise a lot of money for the government and taxes. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. You look at all the transaction costs and the real estate agents, and I mean, down the list of all the jobs you're going to destroy by doing that. I mean, it's just silliness. I don't understand. It drives me crazy. We figured out.
They put new bills on the table all the time that they have no idea of the unintended consequences.
Exactly.
when we go through it, we don't look at it from how much money can we get to the government. We're thinking, well, wait a minute, how many jobs is that going to take, and how is that going to tie the hands of a borrower or affect them in a negative way? And we've been very successful actually in lobbying for change.
Yeah. Well, there's so many real estate agents across the country. I mean, it's a big industry, and it's not just protecting your own. I mean, it's protecting the homeowners too, and real estate investors. It's crazy. It's like we were talking about before. It's like with the moratoriums for rents and evictions and all that, and it's like, why are you going to hurt the mom and pop stores? Or the not stores, but the landlords. If the government wants to do it, let the government pay the rent. Then that way they can pay the mortgage. Because we've talked about this before. It's like, I don't get to go to PG&E and say, nope, I don't have to pay my PG&E COVID. Anyway, Tammy and Bill, it's been a pleasure. Now you got to listen to our thoughts for the day. You ready for this?
Okay.
I apologize to my wife about my creased clothes. Unfortunately, I have an iron deficiency.
All right.
Yeah, again, these are dad jokes, of course. And I used to have an unhealthy obsession with Thanksgiving leftovers. I finally had to quit cold turkey. All right, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.